What do I know? What am I an expert in? Well, I'm an expert in changing. I'm an expert in changing so much, transforming in such a way that no one can tell me that I can't change. What's incredible to me is that we all change on a constant basis, but we do not actually recognize it. I was having a conversation and the topic of self-awareness came up. Self-awareness for me is understanding who I am, how I function, what I do, why I do it. One of the tools that I use is an acronym called T. Thoughts, Emotions, Actions. When I stopped using drugs, one of the things that I had to do was assess, well, what do people do who don't use drugs all day? Like, what do they do? That was my thought. Who could I imitate that doesn't do drugs all day? There was individuals around me who didn't do drugs, but they were lame. Like, I didn't want to be like them. Because they didn't make it attractive to not be dependent on a substance, not be dependent on a vice, whether that's a behavior, not be codependent on a person. I said, screw it. I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing. So, when I decided to make the change myself, which is the first step, is decide to make the change, decide the standard that you're going to live by, decide who you're going to become. I had to imitate in my head the actions that individuals who didn't use drugs and weren't lame did. The only way that I could imitate those actions was by having an emotional connection to the outcome. The only way I could create the emotional connection to the outcome was by stimulating myself with certain thoughts. These thoughts were the ones that I had control over. Stuff that goes through my head isn't always the best. But those thoughts I just let pass. Then there's thoughts that I don't let pass, and I hold on to them because they are positive. These are positive thoughts that I can keep and I can maintain and I can take action on. Thoughts cause the emotions, emotions cause the actions. I was so pissed off and angry with myself that I was acting a certain way that emotional connection to change is what allowed me to take the actions to not repeat some of the behaviors that I had. I had to fill a lot of time up because I had taken a lot of time to get my drugs, use my drugs, get high, stay high, and then repeat that cycle. So with all that time, now that I had to be present, my thoughts ran crazy. T helps me assess where I'm at and what I'm doing. That's how I use that's my self-awareness technique. What are my thoughts? What are my emotions? What actions am I taking? Recording these videos, I go into a mental state of thinking about the individual who's sitting there on the other side of their phone. And they're sick and tired of being hungover. They're sick and tired of being used by other people. They're sick and tired of not living to their max potential. And they're watching this video and they're saying, maybe this guy could help me out. The answer is yes, because I only speak on the things that I've done. And what I've done is I've stopped using drugs without going to rehab. I stopped drinking without going to rehab. I fixed some damage that I did to my body and my family and my situations without going through some of these systems that are just there to fulfill their own needs. Don't get me wrong, I have my own system. You can join it. You can work with me. But I do that so I can teach people a different way out when they've already tried everything. Your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions are what's going to help you change the way that you live. So when you go to get that bottle, when you go to buy those drugs, when you go to participate in that behavior, what is your thought? Usually there's an emotional connection to it because it's going to remove some sort of pain or give you some sort of pleasure. And that's why you're taking the action on it. I never wanted to lose that because I can accomplish so much when I have an emotional connection to the outcome that I desire. Even last night, this girl wanted to hang out. I wanted to hang out with her too, but I needed to get my work done. I had about a 2-hour window, 2.5 hour window before they were planning on meeting up. And I told myself, yo, if you don't get your work done, then you're not going to go see this girl. The emotional connection was the driver. Yo, I really want to go do this. I really want to go spend some time with this individual. So, guess what? My work got done. I was in a mindset that I used to be in when I really wanted to get high, when I really wanted to use drugs, when I really wanted to drink. I was in that same mode, that same vein in my brain that allowed me to accomplish far more within a shorter window of time than I could accomplish in larger windows of time without the emotional connection. Mentally, I put myself in a place that I enjoy being in. Some people call it flow. Some people call it transcendence. I don't really care what you label it, but it's that moment where time no longer matters. You're not hungry. You don't feel anything other than this emotionally lifted state. And it's within that window that I can accomplish so much. Now, how I get to that emotional state has changed, right? It used to be using drugs and substances. It used to be because I needed to escape this world, and so I would do everything possible to get there. Now, I have a desire to be present. I have a desire to be where I'm at. I have a desire to have my thoughts know exactly what's going on. I have a desire to have an emotional connection to the actions that I'm taking because I can't waste any more actions. If you're in a position that you're watching this and you want to change, but you just can't figure out how, it's because you're looking at the wrong question. You need to start looking at who is it that can accomplish what it is that you want to accomplish. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I repeatedly thought about the individual who didn't do drugs that I would admire, and I started doing things like them. I went through a lot of trial and error. But if you can find somebody that you admire, make them up, put it in a journal, jot it down, create them in your mind, and then begin to act like that individual, you will be able to stop whatever behavior it is, whatever substance it is. Because transformation comes from an identity shift. That's why your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions all have to be aligned with that new identity in order for you to achieve it.